Welcome to our gathering today at First Unitarian Universalist Church of Stockton. We're glad you've joined us and hope you will find here what you are seeking. We are a community of individuals holding many different beliefs, coming from many different places, and each progressing on our own journeys of life and faith. We join together in our commitment to care for humanity and in our effort to shape a better, healthier, more accepting, more inclusive, and more hopeful world. We promise to accept and encourage all persons of goodwill who gather here, recognizing that we all continue to grow and learn throughout our lifetimes. We especially welcome and stand with LGBTQ persons, even as we seek to welcome all persons of every age, ability, status, color, and ethnicity. We strive to make our community a place of peace and acceptance, love and nurture, even as we challenge ourselves and others to live more faithfully according to the values of Unitarian Universalism. I have one brief announcement I want to pass along. We will be pre-recording our Christmas Eve service and hope to have that up by early on Christmas Eve and invite you to find it on our YouTube channel. And we hope you will join us in that way to share this time. Today, I welcome you to our 2020 Winter Festivals of Light service. In this service, we seek to recognize the winter holidays of many of the religious and philosophical sources included in our living tradition. We neither intend to be comprehensive in our choices, nor to in any way appropriate the core beliefs and practices of any of the traditions from which these holidays are drawn. We do hope to honor the traditions we share and to recognize that each of these sources of wisdom from which we have learned and continue to learn is celebrations which have touched us so that we can heartily wish a happy holidays to all we meet in this season. For our chalice lighting today, we light this chalice to celebrate the winter festivals of light from the many religious and philosophical traditions which have influenced Unitarian Universalism and from which we find light for our journeys.
Deck the halls with boughs of holly, fa la 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 la. 'Tis the season to be jolly, fa la 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 la. Don we now our gay apparel, fa la 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 la. Stroll the ancient Yuletide carol, fa la 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 la. See the aging Yule before us, fa la 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 la. Strike the harp and join the chorus, fa la 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 la. Follow me in merry measure, fa la 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 la. While I tell of Yuletide treasure, fa la 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 la. Fast away the old year passes, fa la 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 la. Hail the new ye lads and lasses, fa la 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 la. Sing we joyous all together, fa la 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 la. Heedless of the wind and weather, fa la 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 la.
We believe in love.
Love is the only doctrine of this church.
We believe in truth.
The quest for truth is our sacrament,
We believe in helping others.
and service is our prayer.
We believe in the sacredness of life.
To dwell together in peace, seek knowledge and freedom, serve humanity in fellowship, and cherish the earth and its creatures, this do we covenant, each with the other.
At this time in our service, we share milestones in our lives by lighting candles of joy and concern for those who are in our thoughts. I would remind us of some people that we've mentioned before. Russ Bachman is recovering from COVID-19 and other illnesses. Jan's father is still recovering from a broken hip and surgery. Ari's mother is recovering from COVID-19 and dealing with a number of issues in her life as she declines. I'd also light a candle for all those others who are struggling with COVID-19. One for those who have lost jobs. One for those affected by the weather, which has been good in places and bad in other places in recent days. One to thank first responders and medical personnel and all those who worked on and tested vaccines. And then one more for all those who are able to celebrate hope and joy and peace in this season, even though it be a challenge. One last one. Those things that are in our hearts and minds that we've not been able to voice. I invite us now into a time of thought, prayer, and meditation. In previous years, we have gathered to share this service as we hope we shall do next year. We give thanks for all those who recorded parts of this service and who have helped prepare all the services during this year 2020. Just as it takes a community to raise a child, it takes a church to create a worship experience. This congregation has been active in Stockton for more than 100 years and will hopefully be here to support and challenge people for decades to come. We send our good energy to those who need encouragement and support. We add our joy to those celebrating birthdays, anniversaries, and other special times. We especially give thanks to the members of this congregation who support each other, listen to each other's stories, and encourage each other to stay safe until life shall be closer to normal. We send our blessings to each other and to all souls this day. Amen.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea. Move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
Just a few thoughts on the many winter festivals of light. One of the things I appreciate most about Unitarian Universalism is that we recognize that we do not hold all truth, all wisdom, all knowledge, or even all the right answers to every question. I used to make an invitation almost every week at the end of my sermon for comments intended to broaden our understanding of whatever the topic for the day might be. I intend to do that more often once we are back together again, though many times the service is too long or the day too packed to add much discussion. I always believe that there is more to say and that there are other perspectives worth sharing. Some traditions leave little room for discussion and hold high expectations for unanimity of opinion. This is not true of Unitarian Universalism. Not every belief or practice is acceptable for UUs, but genuinely held beliefs and practices that are respectful of other persons, animals, and the earth are almost always welcome within Unitarian Universalism. Since the natural occurrence of the solstice is so widely recognized, it is hardly surprising that most religious traditions would hold some kind of holiday or festival near the solstice as the days reach their shortest point and the light begins its journey back into greater prominence. The return of the light, or the sun, is itself cause for celebration for many peoples. Some holidays, such as Christmas, were specifically moved to match the winter solstice. Others were placed originally in appreciation of the returning light. When we say happy holidays to others, we are recognizing that there are many winter holidays and festivals among the religions of the world. And even though Christmas may be the most widely practiced in the U.S., it is hardly the only festival of the season. In our service today, we recognize, though briefly, that there are many winter festivals of light. Whichever festival you may practice, we wish that it will be enjoyable and bring blessings to you and your family and friends. So, happy holidays. Shalom, salam, blessed be, namaste, and amen.
A wheel spinning through light and darkness, solstice and Yule. Yule is the ancient name for the winter solstice that has been celebrated by pagans today and in the past. It is the longest night and the shortest day of the year. In northern climates, this is the darkest and coldest time of the year. We also have less sunlight. Long ago, this might have been scary, and even today we might miss the sun.
But the winter seems a quiet time when the earth looks barren. It is actually pregnant with all the nutrients the soil is processing and turning into growing roots and seeds underground where we cannot see. Much like a soon-to-be-born baby, safe inside a mother's dark, nourishing body.
We might also think of the sun as a being that is reborn and grows bigger from the day of winter solstice.
Pagans value the circle, like nature of our seasons. They see the seasons as a wheel spinning through the seasons of dark and light. So they have rituals that involve circles. Today, we cast a circle of light in the form of a circle of candles, each representing a direction and an element in nature.
East, air. Winter is the time for cold winds and freezing breezes. Spirits of the air, be with us today.
South, fire. Winter is the time for sitting in front of roaring fires for warmth and blazing candles for light. Spirits of the fire, be with us today.
West, water. Winter is the time of snow, of water turning to ice and Jack Frost nipping at us. Spirits of the water, be with us today.
North, earth. Winter is the time when the earth is bare and most trees have no leaves. Spirits of the earth, be with us today.
These four flames are a symbol of the sun.
If we embrace the wheel of the seasons, we learn to rest and be renewed when we are tired, and to trust, even when life seems hard, that change will come, as the long days of sunlight always return to us.
From India comes the festival of Diwali, the Hindu festival of lights, the brightest and best known of the Hindu festivals. Diwali's name comes from the Sanskrit Deepavali, which means showing light in front of God. Many different stories are told in the celebration of Diwali, but most agree that this harvest festival is everywhere a celebration of the triumph of good over evil. In one tradition, Diwali celebrates the joyous homecoming of Lord Rama, the god of protection. Lord Rama endured 14 years of exile during his fight against evil. When Lord Rama and his wife Sita returned to rule their country, their people welcomed them home and lit the way with thousands of small oil lamps called diye. People dress in bright colors, gold and silver. They give gifts of dried fruits and nuts to celebrate the sweetness of life. And they light fireworks in the sky to celebrate goodness and preparation for good fortune. So Diwali is called the Festival of Lights. Diwali marks the beginning of a new financial year, and Lakshmi is the goddess of good fortune. On this day, a window is opened to invite Lakshmi into the house, and lanterns are lit so Lakshmi can find her way and bring the blessings of abundance to the homes and families. So on that note, we begin our offertory and welcome you to help Lakshmi bless us with a good financial year for a healthy church. Perhaps someone should open a window while the offertory is collected so Lakshmi can inspire us all to provide generously for the church and keep the church having programs like this.
At this time in our service, we do invite the sharing of gifts and offerings for the support of this congregation. And if you have something you'd like to send in, you may send it to our church office at 2737 Pacific Avenue, Stockton, California, 95204. Thank you.
Namam Isvaram Sachidanandarupam Lasat Kundalam Gokule Brajamanam Yasoda Biolu Kaladavamanam Param Ristamatyantato Trutya Gopya Rudantamuhur netra yugmam rijantam Karam boja yugmena satan kanetram Muhu shwasa kampatrire kankakanta Stita graivam damodaram bhakti badam Iti driksvali labir ananda kunde Svago shamni majantam akyapayantam Tadi yashita neshu bhaktar jitatvam Puna prematastam shatavritivante Param deva mokshamna mokshavadhimva Nachanyam vrine hambare shadapiha Idam teva purnata gopala balam Sada me mahanasya virastam kinhanya Idam te mukham bojam atyanta nilar Vritam kuntai lai snigdha raktaishcha gopya Muhushchumbitam bimba raktadaram Manasya virastam malam laksalabai Namo Deva Damodarananta Vishnu Prasida Prabodhuka Jalabdi Magnam Kripa Dristi Vishyati Dinam Patanu Grihani Sama Magnyam Eriakshi Drishya Kuveratma jau badha murtyai vayadvat Tvaya mochitau bhakti bhajau kritau cha Tata prema bhaktim svakam me prayacha Namokshe graho me stidamodare Namaste studamne spuradipti damne Tvadi udarayata visvasya damne Namo radikaya tvadiya priyaya Namo natalilaya devaya tubhyam
Most of us are familiar with both the religious and the secular traditions that make up Christmas in this part of the world. And most of us Even those of us who didn't grow up in a Christian household have heard the stories and carols about Jesus' birth, his parents, Mary and Joseph, the angels, the shepherds, and wise men. However, those of us here today may be a bit less acquainted with how other people around the world celebrate this particular festival of light. Today we will highlight the Scandinavian and Italian celebration of Santa Lucia and the Mexican celebration of Las Posadas. We honor Christmas in all its iterations and remember Jesus and those who have brought the light into our lives and taught us how to walk in light and love.
So although Nathaniel and I are both Scandinavian Swedish and Danish and Mexican, we actually have never participated in St. Lucia's Day or in Las Posadas, but we're kind of happy to share what we have learned about both. St. Lucia's Day happens around Christmas time in Sweden. It's Santa Lucia in Italy, and it begins on December 13th. The celebration comes from stories that were told by monks who first brought Christianity to Sweden. Saint Lucia was a young Christian girl who was martyred, killed for her faith in 304. The most common story told about her is that she would secretly bring food to the persecuted Christians in Rome, who lived in hiding in the catacombs under the city. She would wear candles on her head, so she had both her hands free to carry things. Luz, Lucia means light, so it's a very appropriate name. December 13th was also the winter solstice, the shortest day of the year in the old Julian calendar, and the pagan festival of lights in Sweden was turned into St. Lucia's Day. It's now celebrated by a girl dressing all in white with a red sash around her waist and a crown of candles on her head. Small children use electric candles, but from 12 years on, real candles are used. The crown is made of lingonberry branches, which are evergreen and symbolize new life in winter. Schools normally have their own St. Lucias, and some towns and villages also choose a girl to place St. Lucia in a village procession where carols are sung. A national Lucia is also chosen. Lucias also visit hospitals and old people's homes, singing a song about Santa Lucia and handing out peppercorn, ginger snap biscuits. Small children sometimes like dressing up as Lucia with the help of their parents, and sometimes boys dress up as Stjärngosar, which means star boys, and some girls might dress up as Tarnor, which is kind of like Lucia but without the candles. A popular food eaten at St. Lucia's Day are lussekats, which is a St. Lucia bun flavored with saffron and dotted with raisins, which are eaten for breakfast. St. Lucia Day first became widely celebrated in Sweden in the late 1700s. St. Lucia's Day is also celebrated in Denmark, Norway, Finland, Bosnia, and Croatia. In Denmark, it's more of a children's day, and in some parts of Italy, children are told that St. Lucia brings them presents. They leave out a sandwich for her and the donkey that help carry the gifts. In Mexico, Christmas is celebrated from December 12th to January 6th. From December 16th to Christmas Eve, children often perform the Posada processions or Las Posadas. Posada is Spanish for inn or lodging. There are 9. These celebrate the parts of the Christmas story where Joseph and Mary looked for somewhere to stay. For the posadas, the outside of houses are decorated with evergreens, moss, and paper lanterns. In each posada, children are given candles and a board with painted clay figures of Mary riding on a donkey and Joseph to process around the streets with. They call at the houses of friends and neighbors and sing a song at each home. The song they sing is about Joseph and Mary asking for a room in the house. But the children are told there is no room in the house and that they must go away. Eventually, they are told there is room and are welcomed in. When the children go into the house, they say prayers of thanks, and then they have a party with food, games, and fireworks. Each night, a different house holds the posada party. On the final posada on Christmas Eve, a manger of figures and shepherds are put onto the board. When the posada house has been found, a baby Jesus is put into the manger, and then families go to a midnight church service. After the church service, there are more fireworks to celebrate the start of Christmas. One game that is often played at the posada parties is the piñata. Now, often the piñata will be the traditional circular with the 7 deadly sins represented by peaks and spikes. But sometimes it's also an animal or bird, and often a donkey in honor of Mary and Joseph and Jesus. As well as posadas, there's another type of Christmas play that is done during this time period known as the pastorelas, for the shepherds. This tells of the shepherds going to find the baby Jesus in the posada, and are often very funny. The devil tries to stop the shepherds by tempting them along the way, but the shepherds always get there in the end, often with the help of the archangel Michael, who comes and beats the devil like the children beat the piñata. There will be nativity scenes known as the nacimiento that will be life-size. There is Noche Buena, which is the Christmas Eve meal in the posada. And many children in different parts of Mexico will not actually celebrate the full Christmas until January 6th at Epiphany, which is known as El Día de los Reyes, which Day of the Kings, when the 3 kings or magi come and visit. And some wait all the way until around the 2nd of February, which is La Candelaria or Virgen de la Candelaria, which is the candles or the Virgin of Light and Candles, also known as Candlemas in other countries around the world, which marks the end of the Mexican Christmas celebrations. Thank you.
With all our hearts we praise his holy name. Christ is the Lord. Then ever praise we his power and glory evermore proclaim. All night divine, all night
Bodhi Day. Buddha means enlightened one. Bodhi Day, traditionally the 8th day of the 12th lunar month, has been observed on December 8th in Japan since the Meiji Restoration from 1862 to 1869. It is the Buddhist holiday that commemorates the day that the historic Buddha, Shakyamuni, or Siddhartha Gautama, experienced enlightenment, also known as Bodhi in Sanskrit or Pali. According to tradition, Siddhartha had recently forsaken years of extreme ascetic practices and resolved to sit under a peepal tree and simply meditate until he found the root of suffering and how to liberate oneself from it. Bodhi Day is not as popularly celebrated as Hanamatsuri or Wesak Day, both celebrating the birth of the Buddha. However, it is still observed in many mainstream Mahayana traditions, including Zen and Shin Buddhist schools. In Zen, it is also known as Rohatsu. In Tendai and other Japanese sects, it is either called Shakya Jodei. Services and traditions vary amongst Buddhist sects, but all such services commemorate the Buddha's achievement of nirvana and what this means for Buddhism today. Individuals may choose to commemorate the event through traditional meditation, study of the Dharma, chanting of Buddhist texts or sutras, or performing kind acts toward other beings. Rohatsu. The word Rohatsu in Japanese is Japanese, and it literally means the 8th day of the 12th month. It is typical for Zen monks and laymen followers to stay up all evening and the night before Rohatsu, practicing meditation, and the holiday is often preceded by an intense sesshin. Mahasakata Sutta, the longer discourse of the Buddha, to Sakaka, translated from the Pali. The Buddha is speaking to Sakaka Agivesana. When the mind was thus concentrated, purified, bright, unblemished, rid of defilement, pliant, malleable, steady, and attained to imperturbability, I directed to the knowledge of recollecting my past lives. I recollected my manifold past lives, i.e. one birth, 2, 5, 10, 50, 100, 1,000, 100,000, many eons of cosmic contraction, many eons of cosmic expansion, many eons of cosmic contraction and expansion. There I had such a name, belonged to such a clan, had such an appearance. Such was my food, such was my experience of pleasure and pain, such the end of my life. Passing away from that state, I re-arose there. There too I had such a name, belonged to such a clan, had such an appearance. Such was my food, such was my experience of pleasure and pain, such the end of my life. Passing away from that state, I re-arose here. Thus I remembered my manifold past lives in their modes and details. This was the first knowledge I attained in the first watch of the night. Ignorance was destroyed, knowledge arose. Darkness was destroyed, light arose. As happens in one who is heedful, ardent, and resolute. But the pleasant feeling that arose in this way did not invade my mind or remain.
Hannukah, the Jewish festival of light. Another winter celebration called Festival of Lights is from the Jewish tradition and is known as Hanukkah. It is a celebration of hope, the right to be different, and the importance of standing up for what you believe. About 175 BCE, that's almost 2,200 years ago, invaders took over the Jewish temples. 7 brothers fought for their independence. One of the brothers, Judah, became known as the Maccabee, the Hammer of God. Today, we will sing a song that mentions the Maccabee brothers. When the Jews returned from the wars and were ready to light the lamp of life, to rededicate the temple, there was only a tiny amount of sanctified oil. Today, only enough for 2 days. Keeping the flame lit was very important to them. And amazingly, this flame lasted for 8 days, long enough for messengers to return with a full store of oil. Today, the menorah has 8 candles to represent the 8 days the flame burned and is celebrated as Hanukkah, the Festival of Lights. The date of Hanukkah is determined according to the Jewish calendar, which is lunar or moon-based. Because of this, like Easter, the date of Hanukkah is different each year. Hanukkah can be in November or in December. The menorah is lit from left to right, 1 candle on each of the 8 days of Hanukkah using a shamash or servant candle. So Hanukkah is a celebration of miracles. We look at nature and our human accomplishments with awe, either for God's wonder or for the miracle of human resilience. The flame represents these reasons for hope.
Light 1 candle for the Maccabee children, with thanks that their light didn't die. Light 1 candle for the pain they endured when their right to exist was denied. Light 1 candle for the terrible sacrifice justice and freedom demand. But light 1 candle for the wisdom to know when the peacemaker's time is at hand. Don't let the light go out, it's lasted for so many years. Don't let the light go out, let it shine through our love and our tears. Light 1 candle for the strength that we need to never become our own foe. Light 1 candle for those who are suffering the pain we learned so long ago. Light 1 candle for the hope we believe in, that anger won't tear us apart. And light 1 candle to bring us together with peace as the song in our heart. Don't let the light go out, it's lasted for so many years. Don't let the light go out, let it shine through our love and our tears. What is the memory that's valued so highly? We keep it alive in that flame. What's the commitment to those who have died when we cry out we've not died in vain? Have we come this far always believing that justice would somehow prevail? This is the burden and this is the promise, and this is why we will not fail. Don't let the light go out, it's lasted for so many years. Don't let the light go out, let it shine through our love and our tears.
Human light illuminates humanism's positive secular vision. In Western societies, late December is a season of good cheer and a time for gatherings of friends and families. During the winter holiday season, where the word holiday has taken on a more secular meaning, many events are observed. This tradition of celebrations, however, is grounded in supernatural religious beliefs that many people in modern society cannot accept.
Human light presents an alternative reason to celebrate. a humanist vision of a good future. It is a future in which all people can identify with each other, behave with the highest moral standards, and work together toward a happy, just, and peaceful world. We honor human light and all our humanist brothers and sisters and share their vision of a just and peaceful world.
And now we share a few UU holidays that have been created in relatively recent times. There are three of them I'll mention. First is luminescence. In 2007, the UU Church of Santa Clarita's worship team came up with a UU-specific ritual that incorporates the flaming chalice and 5 candles that each represent a concept: the source of light, recognition, reflection, refocus, and renewal. The lighting of each one is accompanied by a reading before each member of the congregation joins in by lighting their own candles. They named the holiday luminescence because it is representative of the light being generated. They wanted it to be representative of the light we generate as members of the UU faith. The congregation typically celebrates the holiday the 3rd Sunday of February, at a time when the time spent in daylight is increasing gradually, and we're looking enthusiastically towards spring coming. The Santa Clarita congregation has celebrated luminescence every year since 2007. The ritual has also been presented at a Pacific Southwest District Assembly, where other congregations were able to join in. Sepulveda UU Society in northern Los Angeles has also celebrated it. Each time, new ideas and rituals have been introduced and refined. They created a website, luminescenceholiday.org, that has suggestions for services, music, including 3 hymns written specifically for the holiday, readings, and children's activities. They would like to see it accepted as an annual event that every congregation celebrates and looks forward to doing. The second one is Hannukah, a week-long UU holiday, which starts on the first Monday in December, with each day focused on one of the 7 principles. It first emerged in 2005 from conversations that KLEIN Marshall had with other young adults when she was a student at the Vancouver School of Theology in Vancouver, BC. Marshall had been talking with a UU friend from Seattle about winter holidays and the fact that there should be a UU holiday. Hannukah is an invitation to spend a day with each of the principles, reflecting on their meaning and doing a good deed focused on each one. For instance, the Hannukah website suggests that Monday, which is all about the first principle, worth and dignity, would be a good time to make an apology or forgive someone. Tuesday, justice, equity, and compassion could be marked by working at a food pantry, while Sunday, the interdependent web, would be a good day to make a compost pile or rescue an animal. A chalice is to be lit each day. Gifts may be given during the week, but they can be notes or small handmade items. The holiday is designed to end on Sunday with a worship service at church. Part of the reason that Hannukah has the following that it does is that it has a song. 2 songs, actually. Evan Austin, a member of the UU Church of Ventura, California, wrote the Hannukah song several years ago using the same tune as the Hannukah song sung by Adam Sandler. Austin's model, molded in part around names of famous UUs, found its way onto YouTube, where it has been viewed more than 1,300 times. Dan Flores, a worship associate with the Ventura, California congregation, has also written a song, Hannukah, including these lyrics: "We light our chalice for our dignity, the inherent worth of the people we see. We light our chalice for justice and peace, freedom for all, and for all equity." A Hannukah service at Ventura featured a homily about adding meaning to the holiday season and brief readings about each principle. Television screens in the sanctuary featured images illustrating each principle in turn. Congregants were invited to take some action each day to fit with each principle. The third and the oldest of the UU holidays is called Illumination. Illumination began in 1994 with a question by a youth, Sherry Ann Lovelace Chandler, about why we didn't have any UU holidays to celebrate. The UU leaders, who happened to be her parents, decided to create a UU holiday, which has been celebrated annually ever since at their congregation, the Unitarian Universalist Church of Little Rock, Arkansas. Illumination was originally celebrated in place of Christmas, but later moved to January to allow a celebration of Christmas and Hanukkah. Illumination celebrates the chalice as a symbol of Unitarian Universalism, which began to be used by the Unitarian Service Committee during World War II in their European relief efforts. Later, the 7 UU principles began to be celebrated with a 7-candle illumination wreath using the colors of the rainbow to share both the children's and adults' principles in the 7 weeks of preparation for illumination. The wreath was crafted by Bishop Williams in the style of the illumination tree he had built previously to hold hundreds of candles lit to remember prominent UUs. On Illumination weekend, there is a feast and program on Saturday night, presided over by the 2 illuminators, with everyone dressed in purple and silver, the colors of illumination. The choir usually sings, often adding a theatrical flair. Children often decorate chalices, which are then displayed for Sunday morning illumination service. The official song for illumination is "This Little Light." A few other congregations, including ours, have also celebrated illumination over the years. Those are our 3 Unitarian Universalist holidays.
This year, besides the pandemic, we have witnessed one of the most significant movements calling for racial justice and equality since the Civil Rights Movement. People around the world have vowed to openly support Black-owned businesses and have committed to learn more about Black history and culture. The holiday Kwanzaa is the perfect opportunity to learn about a holiday specifically created to celebrate African American culture and heritage. Kwanzaa is a non-religious 7-day celebration that emphasizes family, culture, and community. It starts the day after Christmas and ends on January 1st. Kwanzaa was founded by Dr. Maulana Karenga, a professor and chair, Department of Africana Studies, executive director of the African American Cultural Center, author and activist, in 1966, in the midst of the Civil Rights Movement. He believed it to be an act of cultural recovery and reconstruction.
The name he gave to the holiday, Kwanzaa, comes from the Swahili phrase for first fruit. Included in the celebration is the lighting of the kinara, the holder of 1 black, 3 green, and 3 red candles, the colors of Africa. On the first day of Kwanzaa, the black candle is lit, representing umoja, the first principle of Kwanzaa. Umoja means unity.
On the following days, 1 candle is lit, representing each of the 7 principles of Kwanzaa. Kujichagulia means self-determination. Ujima means collective work and responsibility. Ujama means collective economics. Nia means purpose. And Kuumba means creativity. Finally, on the 7th day, the last green candle is lit. It represents Imani, the 7th principle of Kwanzaa, which means faith.
We honor Kwanzaa and its reminder that unity in diversity truly makes a community strong.
When all the peoples on this earth know deep inside their precious worth, when every single soul is free, we'll earn the name humanity. The choice to be the best we can begins the day we say I am. The unity for vibrant with pride, we'll harvest peace both far and wide.
As we close this Winter Festivals of Light service, I invite you to join hands virtually. Remember that this congregation is dedicated to the proposition that behind all our differences, beneath all our diversity, there's a unity that makes us one and binds us forever together, in spite of time and death and the space between the stars. We pause in silent witness to that unity. May the blessing of love be upon you. May love's peace abide with you. May love's presence illuminate your hearts, now and forevermore. Go in peace. Amen.